Okay, so today we're using CounterSketch International, and what we're going to do is create an oval halo ring using only parts found in the freehand section. So the very first thing we'll do is open up our freehand section, and I want to add a ring rail guide by clicking on the icon on the left hand side here, and we'll select a finger size of, say, a size P will be fine. The next thing we'll do is we'll bring out from our add freehand parts here, and I'm going to bring out a setting. The style of setting that I'm after is going to be for an oval stone. So the very first thing I'll do is go to the center shape here and just select an oval and hit OK to that. And the style of setting that I'm looking for is this one here, CPSE077. So I'm going to double click on that and bring that out into the interface. Okay, so once that's there, you can see it's brought out a round stone, but that's no big deal. We can click on the oval here. And I'm going to leave an 8x6. I'm okay with that, but you could obviously change that by using either the slider or just by typing in the actual dimensions of your stone if you've got one sitting on your bench. Now, what I want to do with this is just move it into position. Just going to take it up out of the way. Around there will be fine. We'll probably adjust that a little bit later on anyhow. And then we're going to go and add another part. So we're going to select our halo this time. We're going to go to settings again. And this time around we're going to select our style catalog and click on the halo option and hit OK to that. It's only going to bring out any of the halos. Now I'm just going to go to perspective viewport so I can see what I want, and the halo that I'm looking for is this one here, CPSE012. So we're going to double click on that one and bring that into the interface. Once that's come through, we can then make some adjustments to this halo. Now, as I said, it has come out as a round halo. We simply just need to select an oval option. That'll change that to an oval for us. And we need to place that into position. Now, when you're placing a halo into position, particularly around a center stone, you want to make sure that the parts intersect somewhat. They don't have to go all the way through or anything like that unless you want them to, but something like that should be fine. You can see that that area there is touching the outer claw here, and that'll be the same on the opposite side obviously. Won't necessarily be the same in the middle there, but that's okay as long as it's intersecting something. Now, the other thing that you'll have to look at with halos, particularly oval halos, and if we go into the looking down viewport or the top view, you'll see what I mean, is that sometimes the stones will not be symmetrically set around the piece. You can see at the top here we've got a stone right in the center, which is where we want it, and then we have two stones either end, and then these stones on the sides here as well. They're not symmetric. So we have a really cool tool in the design stack called force even number of gems. We can just click on that and that will force those gems around, and what it does is just evenly spaces them a little bit more so that we have a symmetrical set of stones going around this halo, which is much nicer to look at. Now we'll go back into perspective viewport, and the next thing I'm going to do is bring out my shank. So we're going to click on the addition symbol again, and we're going to go to our shanks. Now the shank that I want to select is a shank that's got some engraved detail around the outside of it, and once this populates, we'll be able to have a look at the type of shank that I'm looking for. So here it is here, CPSH063, and you can see it's got some, if we just single click on that, you can see it's got some nice engraved patterns on the side here, some mill grain work as well. So I'm going to double click on that and bring that into the interface. Now once that's turned up, we need to start making some adjustments. So I'm going to select my halo and my setting as well. I'm going to zoom in here, there we go. Select one, hold down shift and select the other one as well. And we're just going to use our direction arrow just to place that into position. Now you can kind of see that that's not too bad as far as where the sides of these rails are coming in and intersecting into the halo itself. If you needed to adjust that, then all you would need to do, and we have to select our ring again, all you would need to do is just come down to where the top profile position is, and just make some adjustments to that. So if you move this slider, and I'll give you an example, if we take that to say there, you can see it's going to bring and adjust those the sides of the shank or the outers of the shank inwards, if you know what I mean, which probably isn't any good for us. So doing it the opposite way, obviously taking it out this way, moves them out from the setting as well, just like that. So what I want to do is I want to bring that in probably to about, say, 0.11 where it was by default. Just checking that, making sure that I'm happy with where that's all sitting. You can see that this part here, that part there, is intersecting into the halo a little bit, and it might need to be adjusted slightly outside of CounterSketch. I would probably recommend Boolean differencing the halo from these rail sections so it's a nice clean cut, particularly if this is going to be in two pieces. But that's something that's for manufacturing purposes, since you can't Boolean difference or union or intersect within CounterSketch International. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to need an underrail of some sort here, and because CounterSketch doesn't actually have any underrails here, we're going to have to improvise a little bit. So what I want to do is add another part, and the part that I'm going to add is just a shank. It's going to be an open shank that we're going to use, and the shank that I want is probably something like this one here. It's the first one that I've seen, so it'll do CPSH059. It's got stones in it, but that's easy enough to be removed. So we're going to double click on that, and that will show in the interface as well. You can't see it because it's sitting behind the ring here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide this particular ring by clicking in this little circle here and just going to the hide part option. So we're going to hide that part, and there is our shank that we've just brought in. So the very first thing I want to do with this shank is turn those gemstones off. There's no need to have any of those there. So we're going to turn those off. Oops, that's the wrong one. We've got to select this one here. Turn those gems off, which will turn everything else off. And then we're going to make some adjustments to this piece. So scroll back up, and we're going to look at the top profile span. And that's what's going to help us create this underrail. So we're going to adjust this out, seeing where it goes, probably all the way to the very end, to 0.04. You could probably expand that range if you wanted to, but I'm going to kind of leave that where it is. And the next thing we need to do is adjust the thicknesses. There's no point in adjusting the top thickness because that's 2 mil and that's all gone now, so that's alright. But the side thickness, we're going to take that down to 1.5, and we're going to expand that range and take it down a little bit further, down to say about 1 mil. There we go. We're also going to do the same for the bottom thickness, because you can see that it's thicker in the middle there. So we're going to expand the range again, take that down to 1 mil. And then what we're going to do, just in the through finger viewport, is we're going to use our rotation tool and rotate that 180 degrees. Just like that. Go back to perspective viewport. Now you can see here that we need to make the center section, or the bottom section, because it was rotated around, we need to make that a little wider. So we're going to come down to where the bottom profile width is. Currently it's set at 2 mil. If we were to take that up to say about 3 mil, it should be okay. That should be an ideal measurement there. Yeah, that's good. So we can see here that that's going to give us a good seat for those settings there. Now let's bring back our ring and unhide that. And because I turned those patterns off, I'll turn them back on. And you can see what we've got. We've got a an area here where the underrail kind of intersects and kind of pulls out a little bit too far from this this piece here, and on the opposite side. So we need to make some adjustment to that. We're going to go back to our underrail here, and we'll make some adjustments to the width a little bit. You could widen this shank out a little bit as well, but I think it's probably better if we take the underrail a little bit narrower. So we're going to come up I should say, to the top profile width here, and let's take that down to say about 1.5, see what that does for us, which is, you know, a lot nicer there. That part I can live with, that's a file. And there we have it. So from there you would export the part out simply by going to the order function, and once it's finished calculating the metal weight, we can go down to the export STL or 3DM option, click on that button there, and elect to extend the prongs if we wanted to, which is a good idea. And that's extended those way up, which we can probably adjust in something like Matrix or Native Rhino later on down the track. And you'll also need to make sure that those prongs at the top there are extended a little bit more as well. I would always recommend turning on your show center side and accent stones, just so that you've got them there in case you need to use them for creating cutters later on down the track. And then it's your choice as to whether you'd like to export the piece as a 3DM, which will enable you to make Boolean differences and other options to the piece. Or you can export as STL with repair mesh turned on, which will ensure that the piece is repaired and meshed as a watertight mesh ready for 3D printing. And then simply select where you want to export to and click on export, and off you go. Alright, I hope that helps.